The G36, more commonly known as and abbreviated to the G36, is a 4-star AR that's only available from light and heavy construction at a time of 3 hours and 40 minutes, and supposedly one of the rare production T-dolls in the game. The idea of a successor to the G3 rifle for the German army had been in the works since the mid-1970s. Culminating in the cancelled G11 assault rifle from H&K, which was cancelled due to budget cuts after the reunification of West and East Germany, as well as H&K getting acquired by BAE Systems in 1991. Interest grew in having a service rifle that was chambered in the NATO standard 5.56 by 45mm, leaving H&K to design the HK50 prototype. During military trials, it went up against the Austrian Steyr AUG, with the HK50 earning higher ratings, being completed as the G36 in 1995 and beginning production in 1996. An initial order of 33,000 rifles was placed, with an option for an additional 17,000 rifles for NATO's Quick Reaction Force, QRF, with the first G36 rifles being delivered in 1997. By 1998, the G36 had become the main AR of the Spanish Armed Forces, later being adopted by multiple other armed forces, special forces, and police forces, such as ones from Latvia, Norway, Poland, and the Philippines. In 2012, issues began to arise when users of the G36 in Afghanistan began to complain about the loss of accuracy due to overheating, whether it be from firing a large amount of ammunition or from the increased heat stress of the climate. The G36 was inaccurate at 100 meters, ineffective at 200 meters, and incapable at 300 meters with this heat problem. 2 years later, in 2014, the German Federal Ministry of Defense stated that the issue was from the ammunition's copper jackets being too thin. Later that year, orders were halted with plans to replace the G36 with another weapon beginning in 2015. The German army finally chose the replacement for the G36, the HK416, in early 2021, with the fielding of the new HK416, dubbed the G95KA1, planned for 2024. There are many variants of the G36, some of which are in-game, namely the G36C, MG36, and SL8, with their specific details being covered in their respective videos. Most G36s come with an inbuilt ZF 3x4 dual optical sight, which combines a 3x telescopic sight and a reflex sight, with more modern variants of the G36, namely the G36K, sporting a Picatinny rail system for sights, laser modules, and underbarrel attachments, completely removing the ZF 3x4 dual optical sight. The G36 is a short-stroke piston, close-rotating bolt assault rifle, which fires the 5.56 by 45mm NATO cartridge from a 30-round proprietary detachable box magazine, 100-round Seed Drum magazine, or Stanag magazines if the proper adapter is installed, at a fire rate of 750 rounds per minute, out to a range of 600 to 2,860 meters. Inner base character art drawn by Moko, G36 wears a miniskirt-made outfit, which consists of a white button-up undershirt with frilled sleeves, a black girdle, red neckerchief, black short coat with white border, a white apron with ruffled edges, a black and white miniskirt with ruffled edges and a lace-up side, a black and white garter belt with ruffled edges, black high-heeled boots, a made headband with metal attachment points, magazine pouches on her waist, a German flag, and ruffled edges, and white gloves. She holds your G36 with both hands, the G36 being just a standard G36 rifle, with the shoulder stock against her shoulder. Her left hand is holding the grip with her finger on the trigger, and the fire selector set to automatic, though it appears that there is little to no ammunition left in her magazine, while her right hand is on the handguard. Inner voice lines voiced by Koshimizu Ami, who also voices Clace in Gunslinger Girl, Callan Stadfield in Code Geass, Hollow in Spice and Wolf, Charlotte E. Yeager in Strike Witches, Rosa Ushiromiya in Umineko, Yukiko Amagi in Persona 4, Ryuko Matoi in Kill la Kill, Tuel in Gate, Shiori in Precon, Mizuki Nakahara in Lycoris Recoil, Rebecca Chambers in Resident Evil HD, Zoe in Grand Blue, Mai Shiranui in King of Fighters, Fuso and Yamashiro in Azure Lane, Perun in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Zima in Project Red in Arknights, Beidou in Genshin, Karen C. Hortenzia in FGO, Mikamo Neru in Blue Archive, and Guillotine in Nikkei, G36, unsurprisingly, acts like a maid.
グーテンターク。今日からはご主人様の専属メイドとなり、ご奉仕いたします。グーテンターク、ご主人様。お仕事を始めますか？コンディションが大事なので、食事を忘れずに。あなた様の望みは、私が叶えてあげます。メイドとして、当然の務めです。ご主人様、あなた様が私を必要としてくれるから、私も頑張ってこられました。これからもあなた様専属のメイドとして、おそばに置いてくださいませ。ご用があれば遠慮なさらず申してください。ご主人様、おかわりはいかがでしょうか？焼きたてのソーセージがございます。ご主人様の必要に応えるのは、私の務めです。メイドを甘く見ないでくれる？ゴミは、駆逐します。新しい見習いさん、厳しく指導しますね。ご主人様、これは今回の会議の予備資料です。重要な点はすべてまとめましたから、そのまま使ってください。ご主人様、私が仕事をしている時にこうしてからかうのは、あなたの趣味の一つなんですか？
Like some ARs, G36's main role is buffing her own damage for a short period of time. Her tiles only buff SMGs, giving them plus 30% damage and plus 10 rate of fire. She's best positioned on tiles 1, 2, 4, and 5, but can be placed on tiles 7 and 8 if you don't mind losing a tile. At level 10, G36's first skill, Damage Focus T, has G36 buff her own damage by plus 70% for 10 seconds. This has a 4-second ICD and 16-second NCD. Without equipment or crits, her damage is raised to 83. With crits, it's raised to 125 damage. When fully linked, enhanced, and at level 100, G36 has 127 HP per link for a total of 635, consumes 60 ammo and rations, deals 47 damage, has 41 evasion, 44 accuracy, 72 rate of fire, 10 move speed, a 20% crit rate, and deals 150% damage on a crit. Base G36 is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, night vision, suppressors, high velocity ammo, microchips, and exoskeletons. The recommended equipment for G36 is a 5-star scope, 5-star HV ammo, and 5-star light exoskeleton. This gives her plus 20 damage, plus 20 evasion, and plus 48% crit rate. This brings her stats to 61 damage, 61 evasion, and 68% crit rate. Her skill now raises her damage to 114 or 171 with crits. To fully mod G36, she'll need 3,200 memfrags and 120 cores, as well as needing to be at 100 affection for all mod levels, and level 100 for mod 1, 110 for mod 2, and 115 for mod 3. This takes roughly 17.5 days or 2 weeks and 3.5 days of grinding the advanced sim for memfrags, though this time can be shorter if there is a rate up, and her rarity goes to 5 stars when modded. In her mod art, still drawn by Emoko, fully modded G36 wears the same style of maid uniform as before, that being the miniskirt maid uniform, but with some changes. There's significantly less frilled edges overall, and G36 also has a haircut, with G36 now sporting a metal breastplate as armor, a shorter neckerchief, a longer sleeve coat with rolled up sleeves and her midriff visible, a different style apron and skirt, black fingerless gloves instead of white ones, black sheer tights with thigh magazine pouches, and black high heel shoes. She holds her G36 in her right hand, finger off the trigger, but the fire selector set to automatic still. When fully modded, G36's tiles now give the original plus 30% damage buff as well as plus 15% rate of fire, replacing the previous plus 10% rate of fire. Her stats are increased to 130 HP per link for a total of 650, now dealing 51 damage and having 45 evasion, 48 accuracy, and 76 rate of fire. Her first skill, Damage Focus T, now gives her a plus 75% damage buff for 10 seconds, replacing the previous plus 70% damage buff. Without equipment or crits, this raises her damage to 89 or 134 with crits. At level 10, G36's second skill, Arc-Light Contract, when her first skill, Damage Focus T, activates, allies on her buff tiles get plus 25% evasion for 5 seconds. For every ally on her buff tiles when her S2 procs, G36 gets plus 10% rate of fire for 5 seconds, max of 2 stacks. Or, I'm assuming, plus 20% rate of fire for 10 seconds. This raises her rate of fire to 91 without equipment. The spec that G36 gets from reaching Mod 3 is the G36 Hybrid Optics, which, when at max calibration and enhancement, gives plus 48% crit rate and plus 8 accuracy. The recommended equipment for modded G36 is her spec, the G36 Hybrid Optics, 5-star HV ammo, and 5-star light exoskeleton. This gives her plus 20 damage, plus 8 accuracy, plus 20 evasion, and plus 48% crit rate. This brings her stats to 71 damage, 56 accuracy, 65 evasion, and 68% crit rate. Her first skill now raises her damage to 124 without crits and 186 with crits. Also, her spec, the G36 Hybrid Optics, you can easily replace it with a 5-star scope because the only difference between her spec and a 5-star scope is the G36 Hybrid Optics gives you plus 8 accuracy. And they're more expensive to calibrate and enhance. G36 and Springfield have a unity skill titled Bon Appetit, which, when G36 and Springfield are in the same echelon, G36 serves all her allies dessert, which boosts morale and allows for all allies to benefit from her first skill, Damage Focus T, giving them, at max, plus 15% damage. And because I forgot to mention it in the Springfield video, Springfield on the other hand serves her allies coffee, also boosting morale. With each stack, the rate of fire of all allies is buffed by plus 5%, with each stack lasting 5 seconds, and there being a max of 5 stacks. So that means you're getting plus 15% damage while G36's first skill is active, and I'm also assuming that the rate of fire buff procs around the same time, so you're getting plus 25% rate of fire for 5 seconds. Keep in mind, these are just assumptions, the game doesn't really specify all that much. Base G36 is, quite simply, average. Average stats, average tiles, average buff, and average skill. Not terrible by any means, but not standout. Since she's a generalist, that means she'll be decent in the early game, but as you face more and more specialized enemies, such as ones with armor, dodge, or ones you just need to kill ASAP, she'll fall off. She does have that unity skill with Springfield, but I've never met anyone who's ever considered building a team around having a rifle and an AR in the same echelon. Just to give all members of the echelon plus 15% damage for 10 seconds, and plus 25 rate of fire for 5 seconds. Her mod changes things. Firstly, she gets the stats boost she so terribly needed. For reference, her base stats are lower than FNC, a 3-star AR that is basically baby's first usable AR. Her S2 boosts her DPS further, giving her a sizable buff to her rate of fire, as well as making evasion take SMGs have more survivability, as SMGs on her tiles get plus 25% evasion. I know it doesn't matter what type of T-Doll are on her tiles because they'll get the evasion buff anyways, but realistically, you're gonna have SMGs on those tiles. However, she does need to be in the prime real estate of tile positions 1 and 4 if you want to get the max use out of her mod and S2. As well as her spec, as previously mentioned, is just a 5-star scope with an accuracy bonus. Fun little GFL history fact. When GFL Global first introduced neural upgrades, they held a vote to see who would be in the first mod batch. I'm pretty sure the definites were M4, AR-15, and SOP mod, because RO didn't even have her mod yet. I don't even think it was in the works at that time. So there was a vote for who else would accompany them. There was a few, but the standout ones were G36 and SAA. G36 won the first vote, basically being in the first batch of neural upgrades. This caused quite the uproar with the more try-hard side of the community, as they wanted SAA and her mod to win, as they believed that they needed her to grind 10-4E and ranking in Singularity, even though she wasn't required. Anyways, base G36, easy pass for me. Generalist AR that buffs their own damage are practically dime a dozen, with T-dolls such as the aforementioned FNC, and 5-star T-dolls such as the previously covered G41, doing much better than G36, and filling the same niche. Her mod does make her better, as she doesn't only get the significant DPS boost, but is also a good support for evasion tanks and AR SMG echelons. I'd avoid trying to work Springfield into her echelon, however, as overly mixed echelons are rarely good. Pass on base G36, highly recommend getting G36 to mod 3, if not mod 2. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well.